hear us because we're pretty loud in the vault at the moment. So, welcome to YouTube.
Yeah, welcome guys. We'll give you a little tour around London Craft Beer Festival now. And then we're going to go outside where it's a little bit quieter. Right. So Wayne's actually going to have to lead at this point because I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, I think Nadia will do a little loop around and show you guys the vault in London, and we'll tell you more when we're outside. So it's a little bit more hectic than usual, but hopefully you can hear us okay. So this is our vault. We're at London Craft Beer Festival. This is the first major festival. Well, we do a few festivals so far. One of the biggest events on the diary for us. So we're doing a live tasting from a beer festival. So a good excuse to have a beer.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how this goes because we may have indulged this afternoon, and we may have indulged excessively yesterday as well.
No, we haven't. I'm completely sober this time. Honestly, Sal. So while we're walking outside and we're going to where we're going to be filming, if you guys want to open up your first beer, which is Mutant Clan, we'll tell you more about the beer and everything else as soon as we get outside. So yeah, this is our vault.
So Nadia should be putting in shot, a couple of our live audience guests there in shot. So what we've gone with this year is a 1980s themed Back to the Brutcher diner.
So yeah, we've tried to fit as much as possible in this space, and it's got a good atmosphere, and hopefully you guys, if you were down here, will be enjoying it with
Alan! Good. You're on YouTube. And that's Robin from Drop Project.
So plenty of breweries and food on offer at London Craft Beer Festival.
Right, you know the way. Which way are we going?
We'll go this way.
This way.
So it's going to get a bit more loud until we get to the seating in a bit.
So we've got our friends from Two Tribes over here with the live music and serving some pork
sandwiches.
Yeah. So this venue, if you're not familiar with it, is Tobacco Docks. So where we're about to go outside, you'll see a big vintage ship, almost like a pirate ship for like Aylestorm.
So it feels pretty strange to be back at a full-on festival with this much going on, but it also feels pretty good to be back out, seeing all the different breweries again.
Right, which way?
Right. We're hoping Nadia's able to keep up with us because the sooner we get outside, the more you'll be able to hear and see.
So it's not far now, guys. Bear with us.
It's a pretty immense location. It's the Tobacco Docks in London, which is an old tobacco storage warehouse. It's actually, I think it's a listed, I can't remember what you call it, but a heritage site where you can't actually do much or install anything. So all the custom designs, you have to put all the decoration on.
Right.
This is where we get out of breath from walking up one flight of steps.
Right, almost there.
Not too much longer. We get to sit down and tell you a bit about this beer.
Right, where are we going?
Over there. So apologies for not saying too much.
Nadia, you've got to get the ship in to give the guys some context. If we can see that over there, which is the Three Sisters.
You're going to be on camera in a second, guys, and you're on microphone now, so don't swear.
Nice.
Here's the sales crew having a cigarette break.
Cigarettes for this one, they've been hard selling.
Oh, is that in case the wife's watching?
You haven't sold it all, it's gone. So this feels a little bit more comfortable now. Hopefully you guys can hear us. It's a little less hectic out here.
And it's nice and cold out here. It's really getting quite warm inside the vaults.
And we've got a seat as well, which is amazing. So sorry if that was a little hectic. We thought it'd be pretty cool to give you an overview of what's going on in the festival. We've left Waters in charge, so if everything goes to pot in the vaults, it's his fault. Like we said earlier, we're going to start on Mutant Clan, so we'll tell you a lot more about that beer once we give you a bit of an overview of the other drinks we're going to have.
So we're just having a movement of the camera from a gimbal, I think we call that thing, onto its tripod.
And unlike normal YouTube live tasting, we're going to try and accelerate it a little bit. This is a all-inclusive beer festival, so we don't want to tie all the guests up for too long. We want them to be able to get back to enjoying the different breweries on offer as well as ourselves. So somehow we're going to try and do a 4 beer tasting in an hour. So.
Well, we're going to aim for an hour. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to sort of 1 hour 15, maybe, like the last time we attempted to do this.
It's unlike us to waffle on a bit.
I don't know about you, but I feel like a newscaster.
I do.
It's a bit different.
It's very formal and strange. Yeah.
It's very ready. What does that mean? Just get on with it.
I think that's your way to say we've got an hour.
So the running order, what we're going to be doing today is, as per usual, 4 beers. We're going to be starting out with Mutant, which is a 5.5% milkshake IPA, which has been developed by our production manager, Roddy. And he's having a little bit of a face-off with Alistair, who has designed our second beer, and we want you to get involved with that as a bit of a feedback / competition session. So the second beer is Hoperator Error, that's a 7.2% New England IPA. We're then following up that with one of our absolute all-time favourites, Simon Lemon Lemon Sherbet, 3.8% sour, super refreshing, perfect for when you may have overindulged on a day like this. And then we're concluding with the beer that you need to get out of the fridge now, which is I Took the Midnight Grain, which has been developed by our whole brew team. And I think they took offence at how much lactose and adjuncts we put into things, so they've decided to go no adjuncts, no lactose, just a nice big stout. And whereas we always go sweet, they've gone dry. So they've pretty much gone with the opposite of what we would do. So hopefully we'll enjoy the good results of that later on. So yeah, the first beer is the one that we have in glass, and bloody hell, you've drunk half of yours already.
Sorry, I've got to take a photo of these two sat practically on each other's lap. I'll show everyone the photo afterwards. But,
our sales team have gone a little bit too cosy behind the camera there. So yeah, the first beer we have here, the one that Wayne's already drunk half of.
In our fancy new Teku glasses.
Oh yeah, brand new glassware. Arrived literally yesterday.
So yeah, we'll be putting them live on the web shop.
We're having a close-up
next week. Right. But the gold leaf Teku glasses, they're pretty cool. They took us a long time on order from Germany, but finally arrived yesterday. So really pleased. We brought some straight down to the festival with us. And myself and Lee have been walking around drinking them, and I just love the condensation on the gold leaf.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Anyway. And yeah, everybody thinks we're a bit bling because we brought our own glassware to a beer festival that you're given a glass at.
It's bigger than the festival glass they give you.
Well,
so,
yeah, there is method to our madness. So yeah, this is Mutant Clan. It's 5.5% milkshake IPA. So the concept of the milkshake IPA is it needs to be sweeter, it needs to be creamier. You're going to achieve that using lactose, and sometimes, but not always, you can add a little bit of vanilla, which is what we have done in this one. So this was conceived by Roddy, our production manager. And I love what he took as inspiration for this beer. So there's a artist called Harry Nielsen, musical artist that is, and he has a song called Coconut, the lyrics of which coconut and lime. So he wants.
I don't know it.
I'm not singing it. That's not happening.
There's not enough 14%
Unfortunately, I've forgotten the lyrics. So yeah, the inspiration was that song. Roddy wanted to get coconut and lime into the beer. So he has selected hops that achieve those kind of characters. So he's taken Sabro, which is known for a big kind of coconut, maybe even a little bit of pineapple character. And then he's taken Motueka from New Zealand, which is known to give a bit of a lime character into a beer. And that's been backed up with the ever amazing Citra to give it some citrus character.
It's unlike us to use Citra in a beer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think Roddy's got this bang on the money. I absolutely love this beer. I struggle to choose between this and the second beer. So I'm not going to choose. You as our audience are going to choose tonight. So Roddy and Alistair have been building this up all week because they know their beers are going to face off against each other tonight. The only way we really currently have of assessing quality and feedback of beer is through Untapped. And at the minute, this is rating 3.81. And the next beer that we're going to do is very closely rated. So if you have Untapped at home, you can rate these two beers tonight, and we can see if it influences the scores, and you're either going to please Roddy or disappoint Roddy, and vice versa for Alistair. So if you don't have Untapped, please get your feedback in under the video. We forgot to mention at the start, actually, if you do have any questions for us, please get them in the same way. Put them underneath the video. Nadia, I can see, is already hurriedly writing down the first few questions that are coming through, and they'll be passed across to us later on in the session, and we will do our best to get through as many of those as we can.
So one of the things that might confuse our regular listeners, viewers, is the fact that we don't have the giant printout cans in front of us. So we've actually tried to confuse you by putting two completely different cans that we're not drinking right now. So we'll take them off the table for now. We haven't got the can of Mutant Clan because we actually had it on draft from the bar before we came up here. So this is the can artwork's pretty cool. It's obviously inspired by the punny name. So Mutant Clan. Is
Wu-Tang Clan, who my wife said to me the other week, do all of your drinkers get your references? Do people know who you mean when you're doing this like Wu-Tang Clan? I was like, well, only the most influential hip-hop band of all time. I think a few people may get the reference. Yes. And I absolutely love what our branding guys have done with the artwork on this beer. So we've taken our kind of Tonkoko cow and we've made him into all of the different artists that form Mutant Clan. I think it's one of the best branded beers of the year.
It's pretty cool. It's we've actually got some posters. So anyone at London Craft Beer Festival, we've made a load of posters up for the event, which people can take home with them. If you are watching this live while you're walking around the event, which I doubt, you can pop in and grab a poster. But if you're watching it live at home tonight and you come into London Craft Beer Festival tomorrow, you can also do the same, pop in and grab a poster. So the first question we had isn't actually a question, it's a request for a shout out, and it's to Vicky Jones. So this is her first live tasting since the birth of her son Sebastian. So to both of you guys.
Yeah, and congratulations on the birth of Sebastian.
Which then reminds me, while we were at the bar earlier.
Yeah, we bumped into someone earlier who requested a shout out.
So he wanted me to do a shout out and say hello to Tony from Sunderland. So hello, Tony.
So hello, Tony. Cheers.
I said it'd be easy to remember Tony's name because he's also our sales director, but I forgot it, so I had to get the prompt.
Right.
So yeah, Mutant Clan. Did you mention it was a milkshake?
I did mention it was milkshake. Yeah. So we've achieved that using lactose to give it bigger body, bigger creaminess, and a nice finishing sweetness, which you kind of associate with the NEIPA, the hazier styles of beer as well. And then we put a little bit of vanilla in there, not a huge amount. It doesn't give it a massive pronounced vanilla character. It just gives it a little bit more creaminess, a little bit more softness to the beer.
So we're about 15 minutes in. So we did a lot of walking at the start, so we haven't actually spent 15 minutes in this beer. So what we'll probably do is, if we had any more questions, we'll no questions yet. So we'll ask our shout. Happy birthday, Carrie.
I presume this is Peter Kerry fame. Yes. Happy
Right.
birthday, Kerry.
Yes.
Any questions from our audience then?
On the spot.
Maybe just shout it out.
Yeah, because people at home probably can't hear. So.
Are you having the same beers on next week at Edinburgh Craft Beer Festival?
Ah, interesting. So myself and
you
Leah
need
heading
to
up.
repeat the question.
So the question that's just come through is, are we having the same beers on next week at Edinburgh Craft Beer Festival? Not exactly the same lineup, but it'll be very similar because we're trying to promote and launch all the newest releases we've got. So we've got quite a lot, and a lot of 7.5% sours at the moment. We've got Gooseley and Jackie Flan, so both 7.5%. Gooseley is the stronger version of Goose Willis. Jackie Flan is a new beer. It's a
mixed berry pastry sour. Cherry blackberry and blueberry.
And it's one of the most expensive beers we've made of recent because someone got a bit carried away with the fruit. It's pretty interesting.
What is it?
Don't point like that.
It's got almost 9,000 pounds worth of fruit in it.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting beer, and it's super pink, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. The other beers we've got coming out are Le Mans, so which is the Imperial version of Simon Le Mans. So I tried that for the first time before we headed up here. It's really good. There's no way you can taste the strength of it. It just tastes like a really refreshing lemon sour.
I think that beer's going to get some people in trouble.
Probably you.
Probably me, yes.
And then what else have we got? We're definitely going to take a variant of Tonkoko, so it'll probably be Imperial Tonkoko, but we'll see which variant we put on. And then yeah, we're going to have some of our headline beers. So we're going to have beers like Lupul Iron and I'm not sure yet. Any requests, let us know. If any requests for ECBF, post a comment, because we're going to pick the beer list probably on Monday and then get it all down there. And anyone who does live in Edinburgh, we are doing a tap takeover at Fierce in Edinburgh on Thursday night. So myself and Lee will be there from 7 p.m. So if you want to come down and say hello, come and join us.
Wow.
What's it like being down south? Are you staying a while?
For ourselves, this is a very fleeting visit. We arrived this morning, we go back tomorrow morning. The rest of the team are here for the bulk of the weekend, however.
Yeah, we were down a couple of weeks ago, so twice in London in a month is just too much for me and Lee, so we have to go down.
3 times for Andy, our events manager, who was also at a event at Anspach and Hob Day last weekend, so he's done 3 weekends straight in London now. So shout out to Andy.
He's on the bar at the moment. So, yeah, very rapid, but it's probably about time to get the next beer out.
Jeez, this is like serious power drinking.
Yeah, I was going to say, you caught up and overtook me there, didn't you?
So, I'll pour, because you're talking about this second beer.
So, second beer is called Hoperator Error. So, Lee mentioned it was Alistair's recipe. It's a 7.2% NEIPA, so New England IPA. It's the artwork on the front is the brewers being surrounded in hops and having to dig out all the mayhem that's being caused from letting them loose on a recipe. So the tagline in it. Do you want to read what it says on the back?
Okay, I shall read it, and I believe these words came direct from Alistair. So, wait, why is there no Citra in my NEIPA? And where is the Galaxy or Mosaic? This is what happens when you let the brewers just pick what they want from the hop store. So Hoperator Error is a hazy with a slight orange tinge, very low bitterness, and soft, full mouthfeel. Amarillo, Simcoe, and Centennial combine to give lots of citrus character, complemented by tropical fruits and a spicy/piney finish. But yeah, oops, sorry, no Citra this time. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. So yeah, it's quite unusual to make a NEIPA and not use one of the 3 hops they've named there, your Galaxy, your Citra, and Mosaic. And I have to admit, I did think their plan was a little bit bonkers at first, but I think the results speak for themselves. I think they've produced another cracking beer. And to remind you, this is a face-off between Roddy and Alistair here. So this one is currently rated 3.85. So the difference between the 2 beers on Untapped is currently 0.04. But if you have Untapped, you have the power to change that tonight. If you don't, to reiterate what I said earlier, get your comments in below the video and let Roddy and Alistair know which of their beers you prefer. So this is between Mutant Clan and Hoperator Error.
So a little victory for Roddy is that he's had about twice as many check-ins on Mutant Clan.
I didn't look at the check-in numbers.
So, yeah, but it's very close, and we'll see what you guys think. But New England IPA is typically very easy drinking, hazy. It's made popular by the type of beers that are brewed on the east coast of America. So think of your Treehouse, Trillium,
The
Alchemist, those type of breweries. They were the trendsetters for this style of beer, and then it became very popular in the UK a couple of years ago. Most breweries have got a New England IPA in their arsenal. Really, really popular style, really easy drinking.
I mean, it's pretty much coming to dominate the market now. Yeah, if you're a brewery launching today or have recently launched in the UK, you kind of have to have one of these in the range, really, don't you? We have a couple of this type of style in our core range. So lower ABV, we've got 4.2% Haze of Thunder. And then at 5.2, I want to say, we've got Time Travelling Taxi.
Yeah. 4.2. No,
yeah, 4.2 is Haze of Thunder.
Yeah, and then
5.4.
5.4, yeah.
It's 5.4, isn't it? Time Travelling Taxi.
So yeah, New England IPA usually drinks a lot lower than the actual strength it is. So 7.2%. It doesn't taste anything like that. It tastes. I think the residual sweetness in the beer masks the strength of it.
No, I like the appearance of this one. They've got a good colour. which has been achieved by using, typically in these styles, you're going to use oats and you're going to use wheat. That's going to give you that nice haze. But they've also used a favourite malt of mine, which is called honey malt, which comes from a company called Gambrinus in Canada, which kind of does what it says on its tin. It gives it a nice kind of golden honey-like hue and a little bit of a sweeter character. What, like you?
Honey like me.
You're right.
So
Yeah, Honey Munster would be nearer to the mark. Yeah, definitely.
So yes, it's a really enjoyable beer. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what the general public's views are on how this compares to the other one.
At the moment, it's free Tang.
Oh, we've the early scores on the doors. I'm sorry, Alistair, it's Mutant that's getting the early votes. So yeah, Roddy's beer is getting the nod from the crowd so far. Time for that to change, though.
So this one says, this is from Bob K. I don't smell a lot of hops here, but they really come through on smelling it. I thought dry hopping is an expensive way to get aroma into a beer. What's up with that?
So I think probably what you're picking up on there is we haven't used those types of hops which are known to be hugely pungent, like your Citra, your Mosaic, your Galaxy. We've used ones that have slightly more delicate characters. So we used, I'm just going to remind myself, Amarillo, which is known to be kind of peachy if you use it right. Centennial, one of my all-time favourite hops, that gives it a delicate floral-like character. And then there's Simcoe, it can be resinous and piney, but when used in the right way can give it a little bit of a kind of juice to the beer as well. So yeah, you're probably thinking of the more pungently aromatic hops, whereas that isn't what we were trying to achieve with this beer. We're going for a more rounded, balanced, more delicate character with this particular beer.
And it also nods back to the brewer's choice. So the brewers have brewed a beer that they wanted to, based on what they want it to taste like. Whereas typically when we look at recipes and when we think about what we're going to try and make, we do consider these things. We're aware that the aroma is something that is really appealing to the end consumer, so we try and use hops that do that. Whereas if you're not thinking about what the end consumer thinks and the aroma, just ultimately interested in what it tastes like, and that's what this has effectively done. So the guys have focused all about on the taste. It's gone really dark all of a sudden. I think we've got a massive rain cloud above us. This should be an interesting next half hour.
We might need to accelerate the pace even further. Yeah, and the wind's picking up.
We're used to a bit of rain. We're all right.
Yeah, we're from the north. We'll be fine. So a couple more questions coming in. Before we get to that one, just to point out another unique difference with this beer is up until recently we've used a limited range of yeasts. And since we've moved to the new site, we've been starting to experiment a little bit more, bringing in lots of new yeast. And really tailoring the use of those yeasts to specific styles. So for this particular one, Alistair sourced us some Imperial juice yeast, which very much does what it says on the tin. It does give additional juice-like character. So a little bit of education on that piece. Yeast can either be neutral or it can be flavour contributing. So neutral means it doesn't impart flavour, it just creates alcohol, and it's really all the other ingredients that are contributing the flavour. If you have a flavour contributing one like this one, it's in producing alcohol also produces some esters, and those esters in this type of beer are fruity and floral. So what you're tasting within that beer is not only the floral fruity character coming through from the hops, it's also a small amount being contributed from the yeast itself. So this is something we're going to be doing a lot more with. We have a beer coming up soon where we've managed to source some Conan yeast, which is the kind of grandfather yeast of the hazy movement. It's what the alchemists used to create Heady Topper.
It's really interesting.
What just got mentioned? Heady Topper,
Yeah.
right.
Do a copy of it.
Yeah, it was one of the Heady Topper was one of the big beers that influenced this style throughout the world, not just the UK, but it was and still is massively popular. You don't see it very often. I think we had it at Hop City a few years back, and it was a really interesting beer. it wasn't that one that was my favourite of the two.
Focal Banger's
Yeah,
the better
Focal
one,
Banger was
definitely.
pretty interesting.
Yeah, I much prefer the Focal Banger.
So we got a question from Tom Frost. Have you guys thought of making a quipper? There doesn't seem to be many around, and every one I've tried was banging.
So I presume that's a quad IPA.
What if it's a quint IPA? Yeah, so triple IPA.
We're doing one soon. We are bringing out a triple IPA. It's a re-release of one we've done previously, which was a collab with, well, back then it was Loca Poly. They're now known as Poly's Brew Co. So we did a beer with them that was Transformer inspired called Optimus Prime. So we're bringing that back in the final quarter of the year. I don't know exactly when, but sometime between October and December, we will be dropping a tipper, a quipper. Let's see how the tipper sells before we consider doing something even stronger and bolder.
So we've gone pretty strong on quite a lot of dark beers, and the reason for that is the yeast that we use for those beers suits that style. So the yeast that can survive that high level of alcohol is typically suitable for those style beers. You think of a hoppy beer, we usually use US yeast strains, and they wouldn't do as good of a job of getting beer. Or brewing beer that strong. So we'd have to get a pretty specialist yeast strain.
Most brewing yeasts are going to top out around 12%. Around that sort of ABV and above, the yeast is poisoning itself. The alcohol it has created, it starts to poison and kill itself, so it then stops being able to do its job, which is not a good thing, because that quite often leaves sugar in the beer that's not being converted into alcohol, which can make the beer sweeter than it should be. So from a palate perspective, it's not great. But more concerningly, if you still have sugar in there and you can that beer, and then all of a sudden that yeast gets a second breath of life and decides to start fermenting that sugar again, then you get exploding cans. So, like Wayne said, you have to source some specialist yeast. We do have some high ABV beers planned. We're going to be starting to look at some of these more specialist yeast that we can use for this kind of thing. There's one or two we've identified. I'm not convinced by any yet, but we'll find something.
So, hope you enjoyed that. That's beer 2 beers in 30 minutes. That's good going for us.
Wow, bloody hell, you smashed it as well.
Request to move on to the next beer.
Yeah.
So everyone else is thirsty as well.
So,
how are you doing it? We're doing half a can each. How are you doing this?
It's Peter and Kerry.
Oh, right, okay,
so
go
might need some help from Manny.
I suspect somebody started the birthday celebrations early.
The third beer's in the growler. So Simon On is an interesting choice to go up in ABV from 5.5% and then go up to 7.2%, and now we're going to go back down to 3.7%, which seems like counterintuitive. But as we've said before in these tastings, sometimes a sour is a great palate cleanser, and this beer is super refreshing and a great palate cleanser. So we chose to do it here at this point.
I got a way more generous and we've kind of come full circle with this beer, because we launched this beer here 3 years ago. 2 years ago. I keep wanting to say last year, because it was the last time we were here, because of course all of this didn't happen
because of
last year, because of the pandemic. So this is a 3.8% lemon sherbet sour, very much designed to the style of a Berliner Weiss, which is a German regional style. It's obviously a sour. Typically they're going to be 3.5%-ish. They're always low ABV, they're always super refreshing. They don't necessarily tend to be flavoured like this. If you went to Germany to drink these kind of things, they would quite often come accompanied with a syrup. The most traditional one is something called Woodruff syrup, which when you add it into a Berliner Weiss, it creates almost like a cream soda type character, which is beautiful.
Yeah, we did it a few years back. Ben from Mind on Blank, what brewery he works for.
Ben, who was at Magic Rock and is now at Duration.
Yes. We were talking to Ben earlier, and he reminded me of the Berliner Weiss we used to do. Tabasa was just a plain Berliner Weiss, and then we had different fruit syrups. My favourite was the sour cherry. It's really, really good. But one of the things that was when you added the syrup to the beer, it caused a massive nucleation, and it was just fob central. The beer was overflowing. So yeah, we haven't brewed a beer like that for a while until Simon Le Bon came along, and it was just so easy going and refreshing that we decided to bring it back this year. We brought this one out in a growler, which you saw Nadia pour. So ours isn't as ice cold as yours probably is at home, but it still tastes great. And as it gets warmer, all the flavour comes out. So a lemon sherbet sour.
Yeah, and to get that lemon impactful character into the beer, we had the team zest and juice hundreds of lemons, and that went directly into the boil. And then in addition to that, once the beer has fermented out, all the alcohol's been created, we then put lemon concentrate directly into the fermenter. So we got, big, zingy lemon citrus character into this. And then hopefully the name of the beer should be fairly obvious. So obviously based on Simon Le Bon of Duran Duran fame. And when we launched this here 2 years ago, little did we know that Simon's daughter works for, is she still there, Nadia? Yeah. So Tallulah works at Brick Brewery, who we're very good friends with. They're based down in Peckham. And yeah, at the time, I don't think we knew that Simon's daughter worked for Brick. So she heard we just debuted this beer inspired by her father at a festival that she also happened to be pouring at. So she came running along, got photography with the beer, took away the beer, gave the beer to Simon, and then he drank it, loved it, and tweeted.
That's a bit weird, but okay.
Apparently he said that's a bit weird, but okay. I'll take that as an endorsement.
It's kind of like Dame Judy.
Could have been worse. And then I think, as you mentioned earlier, we've then taken this and amplified it to 7.5%. And launching here this weekend at London Craft Beer Festival is Le Mon, because of course if you're going to do a double Simon Le Bon and the inspiration is Duran Duran, it has to be Le Mon.
So, all our subscribers tuning in tonight, you'll get to try it next month if you don't get to try it in one of our bars in the meantime, because it's going to be in your subs box. So don't worry, we are launching it today, but you'll get a chance to try it. We literally, I think we canned Le Mon. Oh, we haven't canned it yet. We haven't even canned it yet. We got 2 kegs just in time for Thursday morning for Waters to drive down to London. We're canning it hopefully next week, but we'll have to wait and see on that. But it'll be in your subs box.
We're having a few issues with our canning line, so
change.
yeah.
Can I just say, I'm getting flack for not being on brand.
Yeah,
apparently Nadia, our marketing manager, who doubles up as camera person, is apparently getting some flack for not being on brand today.
So we were all actually wearing really, anyone from York will know the word lodging, but anyone from anywhere else in the world probably won't know that word. Cringe is probably the closest word.
Cringingly uncool, I guess, is how you would
embarrassing
define lodging.
Shirts. So we were all wearing these horrible shirts for the afternoon session, and then slowly the sales team kept creeping off to go to other bars and kept taking their shirts off. So we decided to follow suit. As Nadia's wearing hers still. I've got.
Yeah. So Nadia just coming because Nadia and I had matching shirts earlier. This is what Nadia put me in.
That's the.
Oh, have we got photo evidence, have we? Can we see that?
Right. It's a really good photo.
Yes, anyway.
So yeah, Simon Le Bon. So we've got a few questions come in. One about another sour beer. This question is from Bill. When are you guys brewing Kirsch Russell again? It's possibly the best beer I've ever had.
Wow, hype is indeed. So you're not the first to ask. Of all the beers that we've released this year, this is the one we're definitely getting the most positive feedback about, and definitely the one that we're getting the most requests for a rebrew of. So what we ordinarily do is we'll get to the end of the year, we'll do a review of the year, and we'll decide which of the beers we think have been best received, and that we would like to then brew again in the next calendar year. So I think it's fair to say that one's probably top of the list for that next year.
Yeah.
But all of these sour styles really do suit the summer season. Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily expect to see it in the early part of the year. I would think maybe into spring into summer is when we might do that one again.
Yeah, but what we have done is we've looked at the flavours of that beer, and it's massively influenced our Dreams of Brew York this year. So anyone who bought our Christmas beers last year, who tried Dreams of Brew York, which was a cranberry and cherry. No, sorry, last year.
Cranberry and I forgot. Blueberry.
Cranberry and blueberry
yeah.
Imperial pastry sour. This year is definitely going to be massively influenced by Kirsch Russell. So we won't tell you too much about the beer yet, but hopefully you'll enjoy that as much as Kirsch.
Well, you can probably work it out.
It's going to have cherries in it.
It's going to have cherries in it.
We haven't decided what else.
And what's the other seasonal berry? Cranberries. So there we
Holly.
go. Holly.
Hollyberries.
I believe hollyberries are poisonous, so we
yeah.
best not go there with those ones.
We've got another question from Morag. A question from Morag. What about a white stout? Perhaps a Christmas beer?
We are about to launch a white stout in October.
Yes.
So we have brewed it. It has been packaged, but it's been brewed in collaboration with York's Brewdog Bar for part of Collab Fest.
So it's the beer's called A Dude Abides, which is a nod to Lee's idol, the dude, from The Big Lebowski. And it's actually going to be a white Russian Imperial white stout. So you'll find out more about that over the coming weeks. But yeah, it's packaged. It's been kegged. We're going to be canning that shortly as well. But hopefully you guys will find that really interesting as well.
Our team collectively are really pleased with what we've managed to achieve with that beer. So it is what a white stout should be. Has the appearance of a pale beer, very much tastes like a dark beer, and feels, most importantly, in the mouth like a dark beer. So yeah, can't wait to hear all of your feedback on that particular one. Do we have any more questions? Do we have any more?
Everyone's just like,
Curse. Right, brilliant. Right, apparently you're not interested in questions, you just want to really ram home the message that you want Kirsch to come back. Okay.
I read a lot of the questions on the Instagram stories on Thursday when you were driving down. There's some random stuff on there. Would you rather have nipples for fingers or fingers for nipples?
I don't even know where to start with a question like
There was
that.
one about.
decided fingers and nipples would be more okay.
I'm going to have to come back to you on that one. I need to think about that. Or maybe not. Right, okay. You've all got way too much time on your hands.
While we're waiting, while we're finishing this beer off, let's talk about next month's YouTube.
Yeah, so what we have coming up next month, if we cover off the 4 beers that we're going to do in this session next month. So do you want to go, you do the first one, I'll do the second one?
Yeah. So we'll give people a little bit of a heads up. We've talked a bit about the beers today that we've been bringing out. So next month's box is very sour heavy, pastry sour, so nice and easy going. But hopefully you guys will understand that we want to try and put all the freshest latest beers into your box. So if you're not a massive fan of sours, please try them, because there's so many different types of sour variations, and they aren't actually that sour. Some of them, they're actually more flavourful and creamy. So give them a go, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. But we're not starting with a sour. One of the beers in the box is actually a return of our wandering sales director. The beer's called It's This Way, Tony. So This Way, Tony was a nod to the fact that it's an Amarillo Pale Ale.
So Tony Christie, show me the way to Amarillo. It's this way, Tony. Yeah. The audience here is cringing. I imagine you at home are cringing similarly.
So that's first up on the list. That's a 5.2% APA.
It is. And then we're following that up with another 5.2%. And we're going in a slightly unusual order next month. So we're going to go straight into a dark beer after that. We're going to go into a milk stout called Kaya. This is also a re-release of one of our most popular low ABV dark beers from last year. It was 2
years ago.
2 years, sorry. That was originally brewed with Guaylo from Hong Kong. The inspiration very much came from them and their dining experiences in Asia. So in Asia there's a thing called Kaya toast. So it's toast that you would put a paste of coconut and pandan. And pandan's a big leaf, kind of like a banana leaf, and it's known as the Asian vanilla. So it's a paste of this pandan and coconut, and you put it on the toast. and then you typically dip it in your black coffee. So,
A big slab of butter into it.
oh, and a big slab of butter, cold butter. Wow, that's indulgent. Give the Scottish a run for their money. Okay. So yeah, it's a coffee, coconut and pandan milk stout coming in at 5.2, and we launched that at another London Beer Festival 2 years ago, and that got a really good reception. And then we're into the sours.
Yeah, and then the two we mentioned earlier, so we've got Goose Lee and Jackie Flan. So this is going to be a bit of a battle. Well, there's a bit of a twist, which we might not tell you about in this session. You might have to wait and see. So Jackie Flan is a pretty interesting beer. So you'll be hopefully pleasantly surprised with the little twist we're going to do with it.
Okay. Yeah, and we're referring to these as the martial arts twins. And when you line the two cans up to each other, much like Roddy and Alistair tonight, they're facing off. You've got one on the left side of the label, one on the right side of the label, squaring off against each other.
So yeah, pretty cool beers. Got some more questions in.
So from Simon, how about something with sloe berries? Sloes are not a thing I've worked with before.
No, I love slow gin, and we've talked previously with.
It's a very seasonal thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And, but yeah, no, definitely something that we could try. It'd be a good winter one, maybe. Cherry and slow pastry sour. Yeah, maybe. It's definitely a really interesting flavour. We've got one of our most commonly asked questions on our social media. When are brewery tours coming back? Short answer, we don't know. It's all driven by vaccinations of our bar team. So our bar team are a lot younger than myself and Lee, so they haven't had their double vaccinations yet, all of them. And as soon as they're all double vaccinated and we feel safe enough for them to be doing tours with big groups of people, then we'll obviously get them back on board again. So hopefully maybe six to 8 weeks away. We'll keep people posted on social media, but yeah, as soon as we can, we'll get the tours running again.
Right, I'll do one. Knock your glass over. This one's from Emma. Any plans for further Tang Cocoa variants? Okay. So at that point, let's talk about what else is going to be coming up soon. So it's because I know what's on the list because I can't see it from here. It's dropped down.
Yeah.
So we do have a new variant of Tang Cocoa coming up. It's going to be 13% and it's going to be a salted caramel Tang Cocoa. So it will not be ready in time to go in your next box, but I think we can fairly certainly say it will be in the box after that one.
Yeah, so anyone thinking of attending Leeds International Beer Festival this year, we'll be launching the beer there. It's a nod to the fact that Imperial Tang Cocoa launched there however many years ago, followed by Cherry Tang Cocoa.
Yeah.
We've basically done lots of Tang Cocoa launches at Leeds, so we're going to launch it at Leeds again this year. So that's the first weekend in September. So that's pretty exciting. The beer's been brewed, so look forward to seeing how that turns out.
And then we've also got a beer that has been named by Nadia, Live and Let Pie, which is a banoffee pie milk stout coming in at 7.5%. We really love that number, don't we?
Yeah, it's the magic number for duty. As soon as you go above 7.5%, you have to pay more tax. And unless you can go a lot stronger than 7.5%, sometimes it's not worth going 8% because it'll cost more for you guys at home. It'll cost more for us in tax, and you won't get as much benefit for that extra cost. Whereas if you're going to go above 8%, then yeah, it's worth doing. And if you target the ABV correctly, 7.5.
So, yeah, 7.5. Live and Let Pie. And the final one, which we can't see down there, and this isn't everything that's coming up soon. This is just a selection of them that we've picked out. The final one is a beer we're calling Schooner Matata, which, again, Lion King is Nadia's favourite film. So Nadia has led on the branding on this one, and I have to say the results are probably going to be in the top 3 beers of the year on a branding front. I have to wait and see what the beer is like itself yet.
So think non-infringing Disney copyrights, but Lion King. So it's 1:45. It's time for the next beer, and Lee's lagging behind again.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to neck it again. You best keep talking then. That's the bit where you carry on talking.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading the next question. So, onto the river? No, that's
we've got
perfect,
one
thank
down
you. So while I'm opening this, the question is the next session back in York? And that's from Paul. Honest answer, I don't know. Possibly, probably. We haven't looked at the festival timetable. Besides Leeds, the first week of September, I'm pretty sure the second week's free, which means we won't be out and about visiting loads of places. So we will probably be back in York, given we did Leeds relatively recently.
Although, if you have alternative suggestions, please get them in below this video. Or, as with any feedback you care to offer, you can send that through to info@brewyork.co.uk. I don't know if we can answer this question. Next month is the 12th month subs anniversary. Any guesses on the gift? Well, I can't give the game away because I don't know.
Well, we've got the gift ordered. What I can tell you is there's more than one gift. So if you have been subscribed for 12 months, you've got some interesting thank you gifts coming your way. I'm not going to tell you much more than that. I don't want to give it away.
Fair enough. Watch this space.
Should we talk about Midnight Grain now that we've opened it and save those questions?
Yeah, I think that one's on to you.
So, Took the Midnight Grain is obviously do you want to do this song?
It's the Journey song. I took the midnight train going anywhere. There you go. That's as much as you're getting.
Don't Stop Believing.
Don't Stop Believing by Journey. Amazing song.
So basically, the name itself was inspired by the fact that one of the specialist dark malts we used is called Midnight Wheat. It's a toasted wheat malt. Is it toasted?
Roasted.
Roasted, sorry. Which gives you a lot of colour and flavour, which is obviously really important when you're brewing a stout. So unusual for us. It's a non-adjunct,
non-sweet, non-lactose. Yeah.
So it's a straight up stout. It's
I feel like somebody took the toolkit away.
Yeah, it's nice and sessionable at a cool 14%. 13, sorry. Yeah.
What's 1%?
No, it's 1%. Well, yeah, exactly. What are these bugs everywhere? It was all the brewers got their heads together and decided to come up with an idea for a beer that ticked the boxes of what people don't necessarily assume that we would brew. So yeah, 13%, 6 malts. So Midnight Wheat was one of the ones we mentioned. Can you name the others?
There will be chocolate in there. There'll be some forms of crystal in there. There'll be a pale in there. I think there might be a little bit of brown in there. But yeah, the lead out thing is the Midnight Wheat, which is a dehusked
Vienna chocolate, Midnight Wheat and pale.
Yeah.
Cararoma.
Okay, well, yeah, I got some of them. So yeah, it's a dehusked grain. So quite often when you're making dark beers these days, rather than using roast barley, which is what gives Guinness its distinctive colour and hue and flavour, but roast barley can also impart a certain astringency into a beer. So quite often these days brewers will use dehusked forms of roasted grains that remove that astringency. And quite often they come out of Germany. There's 3 different variants of something called Carafa, which is the one we most commonly use. But now you're seeing more and more this wheat, which is imported from the US, being used from a company called Breeze. I think I'm right in saying that, I was going to say Magic Malt then. I think Northern Monk use a lot of Midnight Wheat in their dark beers.
When there's no adjuncts and there's no other things, there's not that much we can talk about besides the malt. So.
But we can talk about where the name came from. So the name, we've discussed the inspiration, but you probably heard us mention this a few times, that we have an internal communication tool in the business, and we quite often come up with a concept for a beer, and then we put a message out. So for this one it would have been, we are doing a dark, strong, dry stout with this thing called Midnight Wheat. What should we call it? And then everybody, I think quite a few people contributed to this one. But then it was Josh, our e-commerce manager, who came up with the final idea of I took the midnight grain. Can you remember any of the ones we didn't go with?
No, there's some good ones. This was quite close, this one. I can't remember any of them.
There was a close second, but I can't remember what it was. Yeah. Any ideas? No?
We do so many.
Yeah.
Midnight grain to Georgia.
I can't remember what it was. Oh, is it something about an island?
No man is an island.
It's something to do with an island.
I can imagine it's not amazing viewing us start here thinking of names.
Probably not.
We'll probably move on to one of the questions. So one from Alan, will the Teku glass be part of any Subsbox gift?
Watch this space, Alan.
Yeah, possibly. Not until people get past, is it 15 months? So, well, 2 years until Rastal deliver them to us. So, yeah.
Well, this is a good question from Kerry. What brewery are you going to seek out after the stream?
Good shout. I'm going to Siren to drink their West Coast IPA, which I wanted to drink this afternoon, but I didn't want to drink 7% beers in the afternoon session.
Yeah, although just before this session, Matt from Siren,
Brought
literally 10 minutes before this, he goes, there you go, there's the 14%er we've just tapped.
He's like, it's going to kick. The keg's going to run out because we've only got a 10 litre. This is like half an hour into the session. He's like, the keg's going to run out, so I brought you one before it ran out. And we're like, awesome, but we're about to go on a live stream, so I don't think we're going to. So we drank a tiny bit each, and Watter's got this massive tub of.
So we probably need to go. Well, it'll be gone now, though, won't it?
It was really good, though. It was,
but they've got a West Coast on. Is that the one you were going to?
Yeah, it's the West Coast. I want to go down and try it. So it sounds really good.
And I'll probably be going back to. So they do a competition to appear here for new breweries, and it's up to 2-year-old breweries can enter, I believe.
Raise the bar.
Raise the bar, it's called, yes. And the winners this time round, I can only remember 2 of them. There's Beak and Pastor, and Pastor are doing some really great sours. So I had their lemon sour before. I missed out on the rhubarb one, but they've got a couple of interesting sours on in this second session. So I'll probably go and grab something from there.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. The Raise Bar competition was one that we were gutted when our first year we entered.
Oh yeah, the top 3 qualified and we came 4th.
Yeah, this is in. It wasn't our first year. It was just before we turned 2 because we then couldn't enter it the next year. Yeah. But it was really good because it got us our beers in front of the organisers of the festival. They really liked them and they said it was so close. So they actually went out. They sent us an email to thank us and tell us how much they liked the beer. And it was like rubbing salt in the wound because it was like you were so close, but you're not going to come to the festival.
Well, I think the issue was that they didn't think we had a lot of diversity. We'd only sent in a select few cans because I don't think we had a lot available in can at the time. So yeah, unfortunately, that swung the vote against us.
It was when we were contract canning, so we had to get a specialist canning company in to can our beer, and you can only find the brew slots every now and then. It doesn't mean you'd have all your beers that you want to can. So it was a bit of a learning curve, and it was great to get the introduction. And then the next year, we managed to convince them that they should invite us. So thankfully, we're at the festival now, and hopefully we'll keep getting invited back.
Exactly. So any more chocolate orange beers coming, and that's from Paul.
Yeah, we definitely will brew a chocolate orange beer again. We were hoping it might make its way back in time for Christmas. It's not, unfortunately, it didn't get voted for, but we will definitely do one again. It was especially the barrel-aged version.
Yeah. Something of that way was almost going to be what we did for Christmas, but for what we're doing for that, you're going to have to wait and see. Okay, so before we go, Nadia, did we have any further thoughts on Mutant Clan versus Hoperator Error?
I think very slightly Mutant, but it was very balanced. Most people saying Mutant, but balanced with Hoperator was awesome. Mutant slightly.
Right. Okay.
Very
so
close.
The pendulum has swung back, but Roddy takes the glory, I'm afraid, here. So Mutant has won marginally from Hoperator Error, although Roddy Hoperator Error has been getting some glowing feedback. People loved both beers, they just marginally preferred Mutant Clan on the whole. Okay.
When earlier on at Nadia, I asked for suggestions, and I can't remember what it was about now. I said right near the start.
I don't remember. I asked for suggestions on when we could do the next tasting.
Yeah, but it wasn't that. Oh, it was what beers we should take to Edinburgh. So my memory's not too bad. I asked for any suggestions of beers to take to UCF. Sours, yeah. Sours and stouts.
Sours and stouts. Who'd have thought it?
Yeah.
You didn't mention rhubarb. That tends to please the crowds at the... Has that not come out? No.
Someone has said, how many people can we fit in that telephone box?
We'll find out after the live stream.
I imagine not too many of mine and Wade's size.
Yeah, me and Lou, that's it.
We're getting someone fitness.
So Nottingham Beer Festival's next weekend as well, so you're going to get to meet Nadia in person. Nottingham will have 4 different beers pouring, so it's slightly different setup because we've got 2 festivals on at the same weekend. We'd already committed our big bar to Edinburgh, so that's our 8-line bar. So we'll be taking 4 beers to Nottingham. Again, any suggestions on beers you'd like to see featured, ping us a message or comment below, and then we'll try and do our best to make sure we take them down. We've got some really cool ones actually that we've saved for events like this, and we've got some HYG in the cellar. We've got some barrel-aged cherry Toncoco. Got some pretty cool event beers that we
hold back
out,
for these occasions. Yeah.
That glass looks awesome with the stout in.
Yeah, I was going to say I figured with the dark beers it's going to be it's going to make the difference.
Well, that's what these things are really about. The design of the glass is to focus the aroma here, and I think that really works with the dark beers in particular. So I think we're pretty much done there, guys. I'm sorry to say nobody wins the sweepstake this time round, because doing this as quickly as this, neither of us have needed to go. So, and it does feel like it's going to rain pretty soon, so I think it's good that we're wrapping this up now. So
thanks for joining us, and thanks for subscribing.
Before we go, next session is going to be 10th of September. We don't know where yet. As we said earlier, if you have suggestions, get them in. Suggestions and feedback to info@brewyork.co.uk, please.
And if we do it at York, make sure you email info@brewyork if you want to attend in person, and let us know.
Cheers, guys. See you next time.
Cheers.